they can't fix the problem, prevent the whole industrial age from collapsing.
Some of that money is trapped in the old system too.
People are panicking right now.
You have a deflationary depression.
What you're saying is the idea of job security due to AI, artificial intelligence, is finished. It's gone. There's more and more unemployment that's going to come up because of AI, artificial intelligence. And so our government, rather than fixing the problem, just keeps adding more stimulus, more, UBI, universal basic income, modern monetary theory. Meanwhile, the guys who run the Fed and the Treasury are getting rich as hell. So we have this gap expanding at exponential speed right now between rich and then the poor and middle class. And so I think what your summary is we're cruising for revolution or something. It's not going to get better because they can't fix the problem.
Today, you have technology driving efficiency at a rate that is staggering. And people don't realize it, and it's not measured in our economy. So that efficiency makes prices fall. Right? Those prices falling is deflationary. And it's not just deflationary, it's deflationary on an axis that is unbelievable. Most of the deflation is in front of us, not behind us. And so if you pull that together and you say, if that's true, then we should see evidence, right? And the evidence is all around us. The evidence is if that's true. So today, before COVID, there's $250 trillion of world debt to back an $80 trillion global economy. 185 trillion of that new debt has come in the last 20 years. Predictably, as technology has driven down prices, there's this monetary stimulus trying to keep prices going up. And so people aren't feeling the prices coming down. In their world, prices are going up everywhere. And it's only because we're manipulating markets to make them go up.
And what you're saying too is that the policies that they're using and all of the manipulation they're doing is based on an old economy.
Exactly. And one thing I would say, you cannot understand an entire system by looking at its independent parts. And what people are doing is they're looking at a system problem that is jumped up against technology and looking at the individual parts. So I'll give you an example. People think housing always goes up, and without asking, would housing go up without $185 trillion of stimulus in the last 20 years? And so people are looking at their individual parts and then looking for solutions out of those individual parts without measuring the entire system. And that includes the Fed, and that includes governments all around the world, because they're trapped. And I wish they weren't trapped. It's going to provide a break to society. I wish that wasn't true, but they're trapped.
What Jeff is talking about here is our schools, our banking systems, the Fed, all those guys are stuck in the industrial age. And that's why the change in 1971, when the dollar became debt, the only way they could prevent the whole industrial age from collapsing was print more and more and more and more and more money. And now we're going hyper on printing money. And that's where UBI, Universal Basic Income, and MMT, Ocasio-Cortez, and all these guys are saying, we're going to save you. We're going to give you free money. And what you say is that's going to be your death. What does deflation mean? It means your money buys more.
Exactly. So we celebrate deflation. In fact, look at your iPhone. Everything on your iPhone is free. How we personally, all of us, create these monopolies in companies, and how the monopolies create monopolies is they understand that essentially if you grab the data, the digital signal, it becomes free over time, and you can charge a little bit of money to everybody and make boatloads of money on a network effect.
What Jeff is saying is so powerful, because everybody's hopping on gold and silver and Bitcoin and real estate and stocks and all this, but that's part of a death of an old system.
And probably Bitcoin isn't. So all of these are money trying to get out of an old system. Some of that money is trapped in the old system too.
Correct.
and you'd have to be very careful of where that money is trapped, because it will be taken away from you.
And the reason gold, silver, real estate, even Bitcoin's going up is because people are panicking right now.
They're looking for a protection of value.
Correct.
Yes. So if governments do what creative destruction calls for, right, and stop manipulating, that means we are going to have a deflationary depression, and all the debt will be reset. And that means if they did that, cash would go up in value, right? Because deflation would make the cash more. But what that would mean is asset prices would fall to 85 to 90% everywhere across the board. And banks would fail, and governments would fail because the banks would fail, and the whole system would fail. But if you just realize that how much money is stimulating the economy, and what the natural course, essentially what nature should have. If innovation, I'll go back in a different way. If entrepreneurs are racing in to solve problems for people, right, and they win by creating value, and they lose spectacularly unless they create a lot of value. And those entrepreneurs are using technology to create a lot of value, and that technology is moving everywhere into every industry. The byproduct of that means we should expect prices to be falling along that same exponential path that technology is moving. The only reason it isn't is because we're inflating on the other side through easing and debt that can never be repaid back. So if you remove the debt, the unwind feeds back on itself, and you have a deflationary depression. And or if you stop adding debt at that rate, you have a deflationary depression, and it would be ugly. It'd be ugly for society. Food lines, price collapses, bank collapses. It would make the 1930s look like a walk in the park, because the problem is so much bigger today.